A couple days ago, ValleyFlyin made a video encouraging fixes to the game. Now, some of the explanations that he had really made me think. It resonated with me. I wanted to also add to that conversation. One of the points he made is that a lot of people don't feel challenged. They just feel like this is busy work, so to speak. If that's true, that means the individuals need to feel something in order to continue their progression. That means rewards by themselves, rewards alone, just more free stuff. That's not going to cut it. There needs to be some stakes involved. So what we're suggesting here is some high stakes opt-in competition. We got the blueprint. We are going to talk about all the different facets in the game that could be affected by this. We'll start off with Arena. Right now, for some people, Arena isn't a competition, it's a commute. What do we mean by that? Well, it's what we have to do to get from A to B. We need those power cores, right? We need those power cores. Those are the rewards. They're the premium currency that really can help bolster our account. Arena can be very exciting. However, it depends on how active your arena shard is. For most of us, we probably are fighting against the same 10 to 20 people every day, right? Those are the active top 50, top 100 players that are within our arena shard. So for some people, I understand that might get a little bit stale. So what can we do to fix it? Well, what would happen if we bring down the wall between the arena shards? I'm proposing the Apex Predator event. Twice a year, the entire global player base has the opportunity to opt in to one big, massive arena Thunderdome. To work, it will probably need to run along the lines of probably a month's worth of time. You could probably order people by total collection power initially. That way, again, the strongest people are already at the top. Not saying you can't work your way up there. We'll have an elimination feature as well. If a person does not participate for, let's say, 3 rounds, right? The 72 hours, they're just automatically eliminated from the competition. They'll just be removed. That way you get rid of dead accounts. And again, if it's not for you, right? If people are saying, hey, I'm getting burned out, I don't want to do it anymore, you can just stop, no penalty, and it'll just leave the people who want to keep playing. And since this would only happen once or twice a year, Scopely, you have an opportunity here to put some amazing rewards here for the individuals that want to get up and go get it. Perhaps some 5 diamonds, maybe a little bit of those level 5 purple ISOs. I get it if you don't want to go quite that route. We could still just use a good amount of the chapter currency, right? That would just allow the individuals who participated to do more of what they were already doing. And it's just a great way to reward engaged players. If this is something that people are acceptable to, if they like it, you could expand it even further. You could have each person set up to 3 defenses, kind of like how we're doing in the Crucible U32, but just have it for war. There would be no modifiers, mind you. There are no modifiers. It's just in arena. It's just straight teams. They just do what they do. So obviously one of those 3 teams would be the best arena team in the game. Right now, that's going to be the Fantastic Four MCU. But there's lots of other characters that are strong that people could use to set up good defenses for. And again, how are you going to counteract that? What characters are you going to have on offense? All of this could be rolled up into a nice game mode that, again, we're not going to overtax people. You have to opt in if you want to participate. And it's only going to happen once or twice a year. So that way there's no burnout. And it's a nice way for people to be able to test the competitive water, so to speak. You want to know who's the best in the arena? You'll find out. The next game mode we want to get into is Alliance War. I recognize there's some people that don't care for this game mode, but there are some people that are really, really into it. So what kind of a high stakes system could we create to really give people a reward for getting into Alliance War? I think what we need is a bracket style single elimination tournament system, kind of along the lines of March Madness, right? It really gives us a playoff style system that the game doesn't have right now. There is a Discord server called Civil War where these guys just geek out and all they do is theorize and talk about which alliance is the best Alliance War group in the game. They talk about who beat who and when, why, and how. So, hey, man, I'm telling you, there's people that really, really get into this. So once again, it would be an opt-in kind of thing. It would only be if you guys want to do it. And just think about some of the cool rewards, right? Put some big stuff out there for people to go after. You could put a little avatar icon that people would have, the 2026 Alliance War Champions, something of that nature. And again, you wouldn't be forcing the community to do it. It would only be for people who are interested. Now, we recognize that people play this game mode from all over the world. So start and end times, right? That can be a little bit tough. So we're just going to have to go ahead and roll that into the competition. Maybe this would be a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then it picks up again Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So maybe it's played over a 2-week period or something like that. And every start of war, we have to change the start time. We got to change the start time. People might not like that, but hey, man, the Olympics are coming up, right? And every time the Olympics show up, they're in a certain part of the world. People who live in that part of the world, they have an advantage. And people who don't live in that part of the world, they got to adapt. That's just how it goes. That's just how competition works. We could also have some type of big event that used the raid format. So depending on how long we've been playing the game, we might recognize that raids come in 3 general flavors, right? At least this is the progression of them over the life course of the game. So for example, this node right here requires a named character, right? On maximum difficulty, it requires immortal weapons or night stalkers. You have to have that team in order to do the content. If we back it down here to difficulty 5, we see that it is now a trait-based selection. You just need 5 mystic characters. So any character in your roster that falls under that trait, you could use them to go into this node. And then, of course, if we backed it all the way down to just normal difficulty, then it's just 5 characters, right? It's any characters in your roster. And that's kind of the progression of the game. The game came out. The first boss was Ultimus, right? The game was all about Ultimus. So the Ultimus raid, we didn't have a lot of characters. So you just used any character that you had. People, there was theory crafting involved. Individuals they had to kind of build a team that would work. You probably needed 2 or 3 teams to get all the way through. And then the first raid teams started to appear. But individuals still were building their own teams. Maybe that's where, I shouldn't say maybe. Maybe you've heard of the BKT, the best Kree team. That's when Minerva came out and individuals were just trying to use different other characters to lean into her passive, lean into the passive of certain other characters to get them to function, either to produce damage or some type of sustain. It was a good time in the game. The next boss that we saw was Dr. Doom. So the Doom raids, they were trait-based. You had to have a mystic team, a mutant team, a tech team, and so on. And when the completed team of that wasn't in the game, right, they would release a tech nodes, but there was not necessarily a tech team, then you had to just build something, right? You just had to look in your roster and try to put together a team that met those requirements until the official team came to the game. People found it frustrating, but at the same time, they found it satisfying because they were using their roster, once again, to just theory craft and build something to get them through. And now, of course, we have the Annihilation raids and the Spotlight raids, which generally speaking, you have to have a specific team to do that. Those are the 3 main formats. Again, also, we've had the Thunderstrike raids. There was a Deadpool raid in the past. There was a Gambit raid in the past. And we can pull from some of those things to put together a big, some type of super challenging end game competitive type raid structure. So again, I'm just making stuff up here. Wouldn't it be awesome if we had something like that, right? So I got Ultimus Eternal Conquest raid. So let's say there's hundreds of nodes. It should last a month or 2, right? I get it. Not everybody wants to do all that, but it could follow the same concept, right? If you want to do it, if you opt in, then there's content for you to do. The way it would work is there'd be 3 different kinds. So the Ultimus kind would follow that Ultimus system. You can use any character. You can use any character that you want. But whatever team that you made to go on that node, that team now is on cooldown for the rest of the day. So you're just trying to build different teams using the entirety of your roster to get as far as you can day after day. Raids are alliance-based content. So again, this is alliance versus alliance on a player versus player style basis. You could then move up if you wanted, or just be a different flavor to have the Doom style. So it'd be the same situation, except for it would be trait-based, right? You had to use mutants over here. You got to use tech over here. What have you. And then finally, we can bring it up to the modern day where maybe the game makes you use, the named characters. So let's say they're saying, yeah, you have to use immortal weapons or whatnot, but perhaps we can dive into some of the modifications that we've seen with the Thunderstrike raid or things that they've showed us now in the Danger Room, in Cosmic Crucible, or X amount, these characters also count as immortal weapons or what have you, or these traits also count as immortal weapons. Then you could continue to try to push your roster as far as you can, still using theory crafting, still having fun. I think it's a great idea. Another game mode that they could revisit from time to time is Blitz. Now, I know Blitz is not necessarily people's cup of tea, right? It can be very tedious and things of that nature, but there are people that did enjoy the game mode. And there was a time when many people in the community enjoyed the game mode when they had to kind of build teams to score points. Okay. So you see in the upper, right up at the top there, there's that multiplier. I'm at tier number 7 right now. And the multiplier there is at 3.9, right? It's just going to magnify my score by 3.9. If I win, then this is going to go up to tier 8. Okay. Tier 8 is the maximum right now. So we're just proposing, especially now with the difficulty selector in the game, with the things that we saw with the null boss fight, stuff like that, can the multiplier here go higher, right? So multiplier times 4, I'm at maximum. Even if I win, it's not going to get any higher than this. So we're just asking, is it possible for us to go higher, right? What if we could amplify that and use this to, again, promote some type of a big, giant competitive thing? Again, we won't do it all the time. It would be something that would happen maybe once or twice a year for the people that really enjoy that type of game mode. So perhaps there could be a couple different events. They're all running at the same time. Again, this is opt-in type thing. So there'd be different ways that people could compete. Therefore, there's different ways to win. So one, the traditional method, the most rounds played. So somebody gets that title. They are the endurance champion, right? You get some type of reward for that. Maybe you get a little avatar there for your roster being the grinder or whatnot. And it's just like we're doing right now. You would just do as many possible Blitz mess ups as you can. Again, we know that doesn't appeal to everyone, but there are some people who would like to compete to try to be the best, right? You give somebody an opportunity to compete and they're going to take it. People cheat, by the way. So we're going to have to change things a little bit. How about no Blitz refreshes? That way people, just it'll make it a little bit more difficult for people to cheat. Then we could have the highest total score. So the ultimate score, same thing. You get a little avatar and people might say, well, this is the same. No, they're not the same, right? Getting through the most Blitz fights possible is not necessarily efficient when you're trying to score points, right? It's a different strategy. You're trying to stay alive as long as possible, right? It's kind of the next level up. It's the same mindset, but it's the next level up. You're trying to stay in the higher tiers as much as you possibly can. Use characters accordingly to give yourself more and more points. And yeah, if you didn't know, as you progress through Blitz, your opponents gets harder. So if we have that scaling difficulty, again, that's where the challenge lies. How long can you keep going? It's kind of like an internal horde mode. How long can you keep going and keep your streak alive? And then finally, the most difficult would be combining both of those modes. You're trying to see how many wins you can get at whatever the max tier is. So whatever we find out what max difficulty is, how many wins can you get at that difficulty? That makes you the king of the hill. You get a little avatar for that as well. Another game mode that people always express interest in is Dark Dimension, right? So our Dark Dimension, sometimes people say, hey, could we perhaps do something like this on an everyday basis, right? And I think they tried to do some of that with a negative zone. It didn't go over so well, right? I don't think it worked the way that people thought because you kind of had to then do it every day. I think that was the kicker. You had to do it every day. So instead of that, could we perhaps, again, have a big competition of some sort? Maybe it stays up every day for a month or something like that. And for people that want to do it, they can front load the milestones, right? Make it some of the rewards milestone based, front load the milestones so that if a person participated, a couple of times, once, twice, maybe 3 times during the duration of the event, then they get the majority, not the majority, but they get the main pieces of the milestones, the things that if you want to bring that into the game and use that part of the economy, then make it so people could just do a little bit and they would get that. And then individuals who want to continue to push for it, put some type of big reward up there, again, maybe for a score, maybe for some type of milestone, some things in the intermediate section, maybe again, some gold, some training materials in the intermediate section that if people want to just keep trying to grind, they can, and then put some type of big reward at the top right? So people that really want to push for it, they'll have something that they can do every day if they feel so inclined. Just another idea that's been in my head I think would also be good is some type of a conquest game mode. Again, it would be something that took place over the course of probably a couple of months, right? But you would use the entirety of your roster. Just think of like a big map. So think about the game Risk or something of that nature. There's just this big map and you have multiple alliances that are conquering portions of that map. Maybe you could do like they do with some of the other games where everybody starts on the outside and then everybody's trying to go down toward the middle, right? Like a bullseye type pattern. The biggest rewards are in the middle. So the people that hold on to that, right? The forces of conflict, put a big juicy reward down there in that middle section. And it will just encourage people again to lean into the entirety of their roster, right? Because you can use everybody, right? You just make teams of 5 and you slowly work your way down to the middle. You can have different resources. You can have areas of the map that grant, again, different resources, gold, training material. Hey, you hold on to this section out here. It grants you X amount, you and your alliance, X amount of gold a day, X amount of training materials a day. The farther you go down, you start getting into the more juicier resources, gear tier 20. Maybe there's some character shards in there. Maybe there's some diamonds in there, right? Maybe there's some purple ISO in there. And again, you put that stuff down towards the middle and encourage people to build their roster. If individuals get eliminated, then their characters reset and they got to start over. That group of characters, a group of 5 that they put in, has to start over at the periphery and work their way back down. Obviously, if you get matched up against some super strong alliances, you're not going to get down in the middle. But hey, the whole outside is open. So maybe I'm not going to get those diamonds today. We'll let the big dogs fight it out in the middle and we'll just spread out around the outside and get gold, training materials and things like that for our alliance. Now, this is a very, very important point. The hard truth, the reality of the situation is we have this Goldilocks problem in the game, right? For some people, stuff's a little bit too hard. For other people, it's too easy. And for a very few of us, it's just right. But all those 3 concepts, they move around depending on us and our play style. The result of that is we have influencers that complain when things are too easy. They say this should have just been an email. And then when it's hard, if you lose, and they say, well, it's pay to win. And that's not right. That's not right. We got to stop sending those mixed signals, right? If there's something that we like, it's okay to say it. If there's something that we don't, it's okay to say it. And if Scopely continues to try to experiment, we got to give that feedback, give the positive feedback. If we like it, give that constructive criticism when we don't. And we need more of us. We need that silent majority to speak up so the game can continue to be tuned, right, to the player base as a whole. And in some cases, right, if something's challenging, that might mean that we might lose. That's just how it goes, right? If there's a challenge involved, sometimes that means that we might lose. Now, I'm just a big fan of trying to find different ways to use your entire roster. I want to hear what ideas you might have on the subject. Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't seen this video right here, please check it out. It's legit.